So today's topic is, what is the worst vacation you have ever been on? Okay, so here we go. The first writer wrote, we won a free trip to Jamaica from a radio giveaway, and we were so hyped until we got there. The owner of the resort straight up told us she was broke. No staff, no open restaurants, no activities, nothing. She let us stay, but it was like a wild vacationing on a ghost island resort. Wow. Next writer. We booked a trip to Atlantis in the Bahamas expecting a luxury getaway, but it turned into a full-on customer service marathon. When we arrived, they didn't even have our room. They shoved us into a smaller space for the night, and we spent half the day at the front desk trying to get what we originally paid for. Once they finally moved us to another building, no bell service. By the way, we had to drag all of our stuff across the giant resort ourselves. And guess what? The new room had soaking wet carpet and a broken safe. So yeah, our passport just sat out in the open the whole time. We also made the mistake of trying their dining plan. Total scam. We were double charged for every meal and had to get our account fixed twice. On top of that, the seas were rough all week, so cruise ships poured in and day passes were oversold, leaving 0 chairs for hotel guests and water park lines that stretched for hours. The only upside, the outdated building they moved us in had no elevator lines. Meanwhile, guests in the newer main building were stuck waiting nearly an hour just to get upstairs. Honestly, it felt like they were leaning hard on the reputation of the resort and not too concerned about the actual guest experience. I'll give credit where it's due. The water park was a hit with the kids, which helped ease the frustration, but overall, we would have had a better time at a smaller. Next story. My boyfriend at the time begged me to go with him to Puerto Rico so he could show me where he grew up. The day before our flight, I came down with a brutal UTI and started having a reaction to the medication mid-flight. My tongue swelled, my body was freaking out, I felt awful. We land, and that's when he decided to tell me he has no money. I was 23, broke, with $75 to my name and 0 credit cards. He borrowed a car from a cousin. Mind you, the passenger door was welded shut, so here I am crawling in and out of this busted car feeling like death. Then he pulls over on a bridge he used to dive off as a kid and randomly decides to jump into the water, leaving the car parked in the middle of the road. He pops back up 5 minutes later with his face all scratched up because, yeah, it was low tide. But wait, it gets better. He takes me to meet his mom, and this man straight up tells her I have an infection. She looks at me like I'm the town scandal and literally makes me strip down to sit in a cranberry juice bath while she watches me. I'm not even joking. There were a few moments that didn't totally suck, but by the end of it, I couldn't wait to get back home. It was chaos from start to finish. Next story. I went to Vegas to meet up with a friend who was super hype about the trip. I landed a great deal on a luxury hotel, 5 stars, total steal. I flew in, he drove since he lived closer and rented a car. Everything seemed fine until he checked his credit card balance and panicked. He was convinced he had $500 less than expected. I tried to explain that it was just a security hold and it'll drop off when he returned the car. But he swore he never heard of that before and was convinced that he got charged $229 a day instead of $29. Cue the dramatic spiral. I told him to just call the car company and ask. Simple. But nope. He shuts down, refused, and decided to blame me for his financial disaster. The next day, he spots an ad for an $8.95 prime rib dinner and wants to go. I warned him it was probably an early bird special, so we should get there early. But he dragged his feet for no reason, and by the time we showed up, it was $14.95. He flipped out and stormed off like someone just stole his life savings. We got back to the room at 8 p.m. and he went straight to bed, sulking. I said, I'm not going to bed at grandma o'clock. I'm going out. And I did. Hit the slides, and wouldn't you know, I won $1,200. Best night of the trip. Next morning was my birthday. The sun was shining. I had $1,200 in my pocket and I was feeling good until I told him about my win. Then it was nothing but pouting, yawning, eye rolling, and him checking his watch every 5 minutes. After a while, I said, you know what? It's 3 p.m. You might as well bounce because I'm not letting you ruin the rest of this trip. He left. Didn't say happy birthday. I'm sorry, but this story was a little funny to me. As you can see, I was chuckling while I was reading it to you all, but I'm not laughing at like how his experience was, because I'm sure it was horrible at the time, but I'm just laughing at the way he wrote it. It just sounded funny. Okay, we're going to continue on with the next story. I went to Cambodia for my brother's wedding with the whole family. The flight there, smooth sailing. But from the moment we landed, things went downhill fast. Over the course of a week and a half, every single one of us got wrecked. Full on heat exhaustion, brutal sunburns, bug bites everywhere, and relentless, unforgiving diarrhea. On the actual wedding day, my brother and his best man were basically living in the bathroom. They only came out to change clothes and take a few pictures before running back to the nearest toilet. And me, I got hit on the way home. Imagine being stuck on a long haul flight with explosive stomach issues and nowhere to run. Absolute nightmare. The good news, the ceremony was stunning. Everything else a hot, sweaty, itchy mess. So yeah, I couldn't imagine being on a long flight like that and having the bubble guts. And yeah, no. I'm just thinking of time we went to Africa, and that's a long flight, and I couldn't imagine if I had to deal with that the entire time. So my heart goes out to the guy. So next story. So this guy I work with decided to take his whole family to Disney World. No planning, no research, just vibes. One day, one park. It's him, his wife, 2 kids under 8 years old, and grandma. They show up around 10 a.m., ready to conquer the most crowded place on earth. First stop, Pirates of the Caribbean. Waited over an hour for a 10-minute ride. Then they decided to head across the entire park to get on Space Mountain. Another hour in line, only to find out the kids aren't tall enough. Grandma gets stuck babysitting while the parents ride. Another 10 minutes. Done. Next mission, Haunted Mansion. Yet another trek across the park. Another hour in line. Another 10-minute ride. By this point, it's nearly 2:30 in the afternoon. They walked miles, stood in line for 3 hours, and gotten on a grand total of 2.5 rides. Now Dad wants to eat lunch in Epcot. They hop over to Epcot, wander around hungry for an hour, and finally land at the Norway Pavilion. It's a buffet full of traditional Nordic dishes. Think pickled herring, lingonberries, lutefisk. The kids take one look and grab a single dinner roll each. The buffet is $16 a person, no kid discount. Dad's furious, tries to argue with the staff. They remind him that guests are encouraged to check out the buffet before committing. Dad sees red and allegedly tries to swing on the manager. Long story short, the entire family is escorted out and politely asked to never return. A magical memory for the scrapbook. I'm sorry, y'all, but with this story, you at Disney trying to swing on the employees. Sir, first of all, you should have been... Disney is expensive, okay? Everyone knows that. So you should have came better prepared to spend that bread, okay? Not you trying to get a free meal because the kids didn't eat nothing. You should have got something your kids wanted to eat. Like, I mean, y'all should have planned this properly. This is horrible. Them poor employees going through that. And I bet you they deal with like stuff like that all the time. You know, people trying to take, you know, not trying to pay, you know, trying to basically get over. Like, no, if you come to Disney, be prepared to spend your money. That's all I got to say on that. Okay, y'all, next story. I took my 3 kids and my mom on a trip to Greece. Amazing time, but by the time we were flying home, I was exhausted. We still had a long flight followed by a 2.5-hour drive once we landed, so the last thing I wanted was any drama. As we were standing in line for customs back in the U.S., I give my kids the classic no jokes, no weird comments, let me do the talking speech. Everything's going fine. Standard questions, passport scan, until the agents ask if we brought back any fruits or vegetables. Then my mom Sweet and totally unbothered, pulls out an apple from her backpack and says something like, "Well, I got this one. Gotta keep my fire up." The agent is not laughing. He immediately flags us and we march into secondary inspection, aka the place where happiness goes to die. No phones, no snacks, no chairs that don't hurt your back. We sat there for over 3.5 hours while my kids slowly unraveled. My mom in tears, feeling guilty and swearing she didn't know you couldn't bring back fruit. My 9-year-old's about to burst and I have to negotiate with the officers to escort him to the bathroom because no way I'm sending my kid off alone with a stranger in a federal facility. Eventually they call us again. They ask a few more random questions, not even about the apple, scan all our bags, and finally let us go. We make it to our car, totally drained. And just as we're getting settled, my mom reaches back into her backpack for her charger and the apple is still there. 3.5 hours in airport purgatory. Okay, y'all, so there you have it. These are a few of confessions of people sharing their worst vacation experiences ever. And let me know what you think. And also, what other topics do you want me to talk about? And as always, thank you for watching. Until next time, take care.